Hey Bulbasaur, welcome back to another Pokemon Master video, and a lot of people have actually been asking me to do a video like this recently with the new set of units that are now EXable, even though they don't have the outfit and all that stuff. But you know, you can still EX them, you could get the benefits of obviously the Spore, Striker, and Tech EX effects, right? So yeah, folks, again, have been asking me to sort of give some suggestions in terms of which ones of these units to sort of EX, right? And before, honestly, I even get into all that, there are some really good, you know, units in here, but just keep in mind, like, in terms of, like, using your resources, right? Like, these aren't, like, the end all be, like, just don't splurge everything onto all these units, because, like, even if some of these are pretty good, there are, like, a lot of better units, right? Like, like, okay, would for example, would Scyther be really good here? Yeah, Scyther's, you know, with an EX is gonna be great, but so would Champion Bead, right? Like, if you have, like, you know, if you have limited resources, then you're wondering, oh, all right, should I EX Scyther here because, you know, Post said it's really good to EX, or should I spend my resources on Champion Bead? No, spend yourself on Champion Bead first, man. But okay, that aside, let's get into this. So I feel like there's a few categories, right? Because again, like, different people have different needs, right? I feel, and obviously it's impossible for this one list to cater to like every single different person and all. So I split them into a few categories. One is just great benefits plus good unit overall, right? So just in terms of, okay, you get some really nice stuff on the thing, plus it's a solid unit. And then there's a category of they're good for Gauntlet, right? Which is, you know, generally, I'd say, they get some capabilities that are either that either help certain Gauntlet things or just increases survivability, because, you know, that's a big thing in Gauntlet, tanking survivability, right? And then there's another one. There's solid EX Striker, saying for Master Mode. Obviously, Master Mode is generally the place where you need, you know, or sometimes prefer Striker sinks over there, right, for the AoE thing. Boom, clear the stage at once. Although I'm not sure if any of these could actually clear like a 2.5k stage. I mean, I don't know if there's any. I mean, there probably are some that could clear one shot AO, but you know, you get the point. And then another category is a good support. Like, it doesn't get like too much great like big things off of their off of them sinking, but it's just like a nice support overall anyways, right? And for this category, I'd say, like, I'd still recommend, like, just refer to like the usual, like the regular tier list, right? In terms of like which supports are better, because obviously you want to probably EX the better supports, right? If they don't have anything extra they got on their sinks, right? And as for some other the category under it, by the way, this is not like totally in order. It's not like, oh, Gauntlet's more important than Master Mode. No, like, you know, I'd say, you know, this is just generally good stuff, and these two are like side by side. Like, really, do you need more Gauntlet units or do you need more Master Mode units, right? And then this is just, I'd say, good support is always good. Support EX is generally always good, because support EXs are just mostly, they're good in Master Mode, they're good in Gauntlet, they're good in, I don't know, Battle, but they're good like everywhere, right? And then yeah, next up is just it's a solid unit, but the sync doesn't really get you that much, right? So, you know, it's a good unit, so if you want to, like, I don't know, go further, then sure, I guess, but just don't expect like too many things from them in terms of sync. And then like the last tier is, like, you know, unless you like them a lot, which is just units I probably won't recommend spending resources EXing, but you know, if you really like them, then sure, go for it, right? So anyways, let's get into this then. So starting with Gloria here. This one's pretty much just it's a solid EX Striker sync, you know, for Master Mode, especially if it is on type. I believe it does have the extra was it Double Down, or yeah, Double Down 5. So, you know, if it's you know, on type Master Mode, it actually has a pretty solid Striker EX sync that you could use again versus Master Mode, right? Next up, the BP, Morty, and Mismagius. I'd say it's a good one for Gauntlet. for the most part, right? It's just I don't know, it's great tank, right? And on top of that, if you sync, you do get synchro healing, which, you know, synchro healing is just really nice for gauntlets. So to get that extra EX support buff in there is just it's nice. It's nice to have. It's nice to have. Sync Cure could, you know, be useful in certain situations as well, right? Versus certain gauntlet stages. Next up, we got the Lodge Blue and Exeggutor. I'd probably put this in it's just a really great unit overall, right? It's good in gauntlets, good in, you know, master mode. And, you know, on top of that, it's again, it's an EX support, and you also have the same thing with Morty. It has, you know, it has synchro healing, and you have sync cure as well, both of those. So those are definitely really nice things to have, which is why, again, blue very much worth considering, maybe, right? Next up, Marnie and Toxicroak. Honestly, this is not something you really want to go for. Its sync, even with the Tech EX, is still not very great. And not only is the damage bad, it's also not great to set up either, so it's just overall a pretty bad choice. Again, go for it if you like her, but otherwise I would not really recommend. Next up, Janine and Crobat. Again, this one, it doesn't really give you too much after you sync. I think it has like Catalyst, which is nice, but like that's kind of about it, which, yeah, I mean, it's just a, you know, it's a solid support. Again, like, you still get the support EX, it's just in terms of yeah, when you're EXing supports, again, I'd probably recommend just referring to like the regular tier list in terms of which supports are better to EX overall, right? Next up, I guess we'll just go through all like 3 Eeveelutions at once, because they're basically like very similar units that do similar functions, but like the things that they do specifically are obviously incredibly different, right? These are easily just top tier wise. They have incredibly powerful nukes, and on their sync, every time they either set weather or set terrain, and like there's just a bunch of stuff they do on their syncs. Yeah, it's just easily like some of the best choices you could actually go with in terms of EXing anyone over here. Moving on next, PP Zinnia Salamence is unfortunately not that great. Like the sync doesn't do too much, right? I mean, you know, she's like, again, like down here doesn't mean like the unit is bad, like although it doesn't mean they're like fantastic either, but yeah, like her sync just doesn't, it's not really worth it. Moving on next to Lodge, Rosa, and Dewott. I mean, it's a good unit. It's a really nice unit. I'm just not sure if like the sync is worth it. Not that the sync is bad, because like, you know, Tech EX sync, she's got a few multipliers here and there, and rain, blah blah blah. It still does like pretty solid damage, but on the other hand, it's also like water type, and there's like there's an array of much more powerful ones, right? Unfortunately, but yeah, she's still a good unit. So I mean, if you want to invest resources into her, just because, that's still a solid decision, I'd say. Just because like good units overall, you're just gonna be using them a lot regardless. So, you know, just give them the extra boost. That's fine. Next up, we got Lodge, Sycamore, and Bulbasaur. Lodge, Sycamore, and Bulbasaur. The sync's not like terrible, but you know, it's also like grass. There's a lot of like, you know, options there as well. I'd say, you know, unless you really like them a lot. So yeah, not sure if it's like super worth going for. Moving on, BP Sophocles. I mean, this one's, I don't know. It's like not bad. I mean, it's kind of like, it's Sycamore level-ish, right? But if you think it's more worth going for just because, like, I don't know, if you don't have that many good electric types, you know, which means you didn't pull on the 30th anniversary units, and okay, but like otherwise, it's not like a huge deal, right? But you know, it is a solid unit, so you could maybe consider that. Next up, Lodge and Sigilyph. Again, it's kind of in the same position as like Rosa. Like, is the sync bad number-wise? No, not really, right? But on the other hand, like, you know, psyched up, like literally like Will and Xatu, the you know, like without an EX, nuke's like harder. So yeah, he's just a lot of competition there, but you know, he's still a good enough unit, you know, in terms of all the other stuff. So you know, you could always consider that, right? Next up, Lodge, Serena, and Fletchling. It's a great unit for Gauntlet, right? Not that great outside of Gauntlet at all, but in Gauntlet, really nice, right? Good nuke, you know, all that other stuff, especially against Bulu. She kind of destroys Bulu. Moving on, we got Lodge, Morty and Gastly. Oh, never mind. That's no. I don't know why I thought the next one was Morty. Well, whatever. But yeah, he's nice for Gauntlet, right? He also does have Synchro Healing as well. You know, he has like full heal for like status condition, right? And you know, it's just good, nice Gauntlet support. Although not as defensive as the other Morty, but yeah, you can still take a few hits in the Gauntlet, right? So again, Synchro Healing is just really nice for Gauntlet. Next up, we got Lodge, Cynthia, and Gastrodon here now finally, and I don't know, it's just a solid support. It doesn't really do like too much Gauntlet-wise, but you know, it's got the crit buffs, your defense stuff like here and there, and it's just a nice unit. You just don't gain too much from the sync outside of it's a support EX. BP Clemont Magneton, just a really great Gauntlet support, like defensively and all that stuff, right? Again, I believe he also has Synchro Healing as well. Yeah, also like just. Yeah, Synchro Healing and Sync Regen, right? That's the other thing. So yeah, like units that have stuff like that are just, you know, really nice for Gauntlet. Next up, Bugsy Scyther. It's just a really good support overall, right? In terms of the offensive, like physical offensive buffs, and then like the physical defensive debuffs, AoE, right, as well. And also does have stuff like Synchro Healing on its sync as well. So it's just a nice support overall to give an EX to, and it also again does have the Synchro Healing. Next up, you got BP, Surge, and Raichu. Again, same thing with Bugsy, same thing with a lot of other, you know, these like, supports that are up here, right? It's a really good offensive support overall, and then you also have, again, stuff like Synchro Healing, Sync Cure, so it's just really, you know, worth going for. Now, Lodgedon, Wormadam, doesn't have too much to offer on sync. It's just a really nice support in general. Again, like these units just refer to like the regular support tier list, whatever, right? Next up, we got BP Karen Umbreon. I mean, her sync's really kind of whatever, so I wouldn't super recommend unless you like them, I guess. Next up, BP Erika Tangla. I mean, she doesn't do too much on sync. She has like double down too, but it's, you know, a bit of a joke. So, she's a really nice Gauntlet unit, right? But not so much for sync nuking. Next up, we got Lillie and Comfey. Pretty bad Master Mode unit, but pretty solid for Gauntlet because she does have the what's it called, Synchro Healing in her passive, right? On top of just, it's a good Gauntlet unit with all the other stuff it does. Its sync is actually not great, right? It's not like a great tech EX nuke. It's actually kind of mediocre, honestly. But, you know, all things considered, it's still a tech EX nuke, even though, again, it's not very good, but it's something. Plus, and it's mainly, you know, you have the Synchro Healing, right? And again, it's just a great Gauntlet unit overall with all its debuffs and stuff. Launch Silver Feraligatr, same issue with Rosa and Dewott, right? Yeah, a good unit. The sync is also not bad, but it's also like, you know, water. Come on. Next up, we got BB Candice and Froslass. I mean, it's not great, not very good, unfortunately. Next up, Lodge, Elesa, and I don't remember the spider thing, whatever. Yeah, it's just a, you know, it's a nice support, but you don't get too much from the sync. Next up, Lodge, May Wailmer. I mean, yeah, like is it the worst sync ever for Striker? No, not really. But it's also not anything crazy, and it's also not, it's like water. Last one, Lodge, Raihan, and Sigilyph. I guess it's like not the best unit, but you do have like the Synchro Healing stuff, which is nice. Catalyst, Sync Cure, so yeah, like, you know, a few things off of that, and yeah, it's just, you know, it's just X regen all, right? But yeah, from the stuff that he gets on the sync, it's definitely a, you know, nice Gauntlet option over there. So honestly, yeah, we'll probably put Sophocles up there in comparison to some of the other ones down here. I wouldn't like highly recommend it, but you know, if you really just need that like electric type, then sure, I guess. But yeah, anyways, that's been this one, I guess. Hope you all enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Like, enjoy the videos from our channel, some more Pokemon content. Again, we'll pull for Shauna later tonight. And yeah, just some recommendations if you guys are you know, confused in terms of any units to, you know, really EX out of these bunch or not. But again, just remember what I said at the beginning of the video. So don't go too crazy spending, splurging all your resources here. But if you do have extra ones, there are some nice options, right? So, all right, have fun. I'll see you guys.